Hello guys. So today we will just discuss about one question which is very frequently asked in the interview, which is known as list in tuple. Okay. So this question is very frequently asked just to check like whether the candidate knows the concept or not. So the questions like that they give us a tuple and they ask like whether this list can be a part of this tuple. So whether this list can be a part of this tuple. Okay. Let's understand this with an example. So they will give us an tuple like which is containing elements 1, 2, 3, and can it have one more element which is a list in itself? So they ask like, is this a valid scenario? Is this a valid scenario or not? So first of all, we need to understand why this question arises in first place. Like if we see over here, if as we all know, like list is immutable. Sorry, list is mutable. Okay, list is mutable. And we can change the list, like we can add an element to our list or we can delete some element from the list. So we can change it. So list is mutable and the tuple is immutable. Okay. So like once a tuple is defined, we cannot change the tuple. So now if we see from this question, so we find something contradictory. Like if this is a tuple, then it should not change. But since this is a list, it can change. Anyway, this mutability itself means that it can change, right? And if it is changing, then this tuple will also change, right? If we see from here, like if we say, if we are if we are indexing, this is 0 index, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3 index. Okay. So if we say like D3 dot append, since this is a list, so we are using this append method to append a new number, say 4. So the list will become 1, 2, 3, 4 now. 1, 2, 3, 4. So from here we can see like the list has changed from 1, 2, 3 to 1, 2, 3, 4. And since this list is a part of a tuple, so now the tuple will become this. Okay. Tuple will become 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So from here, if we see that the tuple is changed now, like from the visible, like what we can see from here, the tuple was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 over here. But now tuple is 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's why this question is asked. And if we are not clear with the concept, then we may find it confusing. Okay. So, but let me tell you that this is a valid scenario. Okay. Now the question comes, if this is a valid scenario, then how come it is not this affecting or this conflicting with the immutability property of the tuple? Since it is changing the tuple and this is not possible in Python, as we all know. Okay, guys, let's understand that it is actually not affecting the immutability property of tuple. And from visible effect, you may find that the tuple has changed, but actually it's not. Okay, let's try to understand it. How is it possible? Okay, so first I am just drawing a different representation of the same thing. I will be representing the same thing in a different way. So instead of having a list over here, I am just defining a list before this. Okay, 1, 2, 3. If this L1 is equal to 1, 2, 3, then we can define a tuple as we have done before. 1, 2, 3, and over here it will become L1. It is the same representation if you see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Over here also 1, 2, 3, and this L1 is referring to this list which is 1, 2, 3. So this is the same representation as before. Nothing has changed, right? Now we have changed the list, right? So over here we will also change the list. L1 dot append 4. So the list will become 1, 2, 3, 4, right? As it has changed to 1 from 1 to 3 to 1 to 3, 4, like we have seen over here, right? Now, if you see what is a tuple, it is 1, 2, 3, L1, right? Because this is L1 which has changed. Okay. So from here, you might be getting a guess like how the tuple is the same. Let's understand it a bit further. So basically, if this is a Python memory and we have list in the memory, say with the three elements 1, 2, and 3, okay, and this L1 that we have taken, it is referring to this list. Suppose now if we want to add fourth element, we want to add 4 in this, so the list will become 1, 2, 3, 4. No doubt. List is mutable as we have seen over here. So it can change. Yeah, it's changing. But the tuple is immutable. And why it is immutable? Because even if the list is changing over here from 1, 2, 3 to 1, 2, 3, 4, this L1 reference that is being stored in the tuple, it remains the same. So whenever some mutable object changes, this reference that is referring to this object remains the same. And since this value remains the same, so this whole tuple will remains the same. So that's why this is a valid scenario, and a tuple can have a mutable element as a part of a tuple. Okay, understood? So now let's summarize what we have discussed in this question. So let's prepare a summary. So first we have discussed that list is mutable, right? So if we have a list, say 1, 2, 3, and if we add a new element to this, say 4, list will become 1, 2, 3, 4. Second, we have discussed that tuple is immutable. Okay. So suppose if we define a tuple with three elements, 1, 2, 3 in the beginning, and if we want to add new element, say 4 to this tuple, so this is not possible. Since once the tuple is defined, we cannot change it to some other value. We cannot add any value to this tuple. We cannot change any existing value to some other value. This is not possible in tuple since it is immutable. But can we have a list in tuple? Yes, this is a valid scenario because like whatever elements that we see over here in the tuple, they are all references. So whatever we see over here, it is a reference that is pointing to that particular element, like say 1, 2, or a list 1, 2, 3. So it is a reference that is being saved in the tuple. So even if this list changed to 1, 2, 3, 4, or if you mutate this particular list or the mutable object, this object will be changed, but the reference which is referencing or pointing to this object will remains the same. So since this will remains the same, so this whole tuple will remain the same. So that's why this particular use case where we are saying like list in object, or it can be some mutable object, can be an element of this tuple. So this is a very valid scenario, and this is doable. This is possible. So if you face question like this, now you understand like why it is not affecting the immutability property of this tuple, and why this having this mutable object or the list in tuple is not contradictory and not affecting this immutability property in any way. Guys, I hope you have liked this video, and if you really like this video, then please do like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Thank you.